Hey folks, Jack from Moonshift Audio here. In this video I'm going to show you how to make the Carpenter bass synth patch from my free Retro Serum Presets Pack. It sounds like this. This patch is inspired by John Carpenter. A famous 80s film director, John made some of the most classic horror films of the 80s, including The Thing, Halloween, Assault on Precinct 13. But he didn't just direct these films, a lot of them he scored himself. And those scores have got some of the most lush analog synth sounds of all time. So it wouldn't be fair to make a retro sounding preset pack without including at least something inspired by that. This patch, as well as over 50 more basses, leads, keys and pads, are available for free. There's a link to the preset pack down in the description if you want to download that. But for now, let's jump into Serum. Okay, so here we are in Serum. This is the basic initial patch and we'll get stuck in. Let's look at the oscillators. So for the oscillator A, I'm using one of the wavetables that I sampled from the Sub 37 here in my studio, and I'm using the Sub. I've got that in wavetable position number 1. Looks like that, the shape there. And I've got the level all the way up to the top. Nothing crazy going on there, no unison. This is a single voice oscillator. For oscillator B, I'm using another one that I sampled in the studio here, and this one was for the Prophet 08, a lovely synth, and I chose the saw wave for that. I've got that in wavetable position number 2, and the detune here I've set much lower, and the unison I have actually put up to 2 just to give it a little bit of movement there. The level on this I've turned up just a tiny bit, 80% should be good to get a good balance like that. And I'm just going to bring the octave down. There we go, getting fatter already. For the filter, the 6 dB per octave low pass is great. Some of these old synths didn't have particularly steep filter curves. Cut off quite low, I'm going to bring that down to about 15, 16, 17 Hertz should be fine. Resonance will keep right the way down at 0. And the fatness and the drive, we're going to ramp up the fat and we're going to put a bit of drive in as well, just to give it a bit of rough around the edges character. Onto the envelopes. Envelope 1, we don't need any attack. The hold we're going to skip by. 1.5 seconds thereabouts is a nice amount of decay. The sustain will drop to -10, so there is actually a little bit of a drop in the volume there. And the release will be about 1.5 seconds as well, so we actually get a decay. That's just controlling the amp, so we're going to use envelope 2 here to control the filter. So again, we don't need any attack or hold. Decay, we will match the amp envelope, about 1.5 seconds. Don't need to be too precise on that. The sustain, we're going to bring this right the way down to 0, so you get a really nice drop off there. And about 600 milliseconds on the release, something like that should be fine. Now we actually need to send this to the filter cutoff. So here we go, and we're probably about, we don't need to go all the way, that'll be too intense, but yeah, something like 40, 41. Let's make sure that the filter is actually working on both oscillators. Okay, so that's our basic sound there sorted out. Let's just have a quick look at the effects. So we've got, I'm going to use a compressor here just to kind of hold all this together. The threshold actually is about right where it stands. You can see we're just getting a few dBs of reduction, which is all we need. 4:1 is also fine. The attack and release, again, I think we can probably just leave them. All we're really looking to do is to just get, we can perhaps put a little bit of makeup gain there. All we're really looking to do is just get a little bit of glue. Stop too much in the way of volume variation. I've got a chorus on here. We'll just drag that after the compressor. And we'll have a look at the settings there. So we're going to slow the rate. Actually, the rate's fine like it is. This first delay, we might bring down a little bit. We'll bring delay 2 all the way to 0, how it is. maximum depth, feed is 10% is fine. The low pass filter, we can leave that as well. And the mix, let's perhaps bring that back a bit. We don't need loads. This isn't a really chorusy sound. Just adding a subtle bit of modulation there. Reverb wise, we want a really small reverb, so we'll bring that right down. The decay, I think less than a second. Again, we're not trying to have a reverb soaked patch here. This is a bass after all, and we're definitely going to want to cut some of the lows out of this, so I'm going to bring that up. Highs, we might also want some removed. We don't want to fill up our mix with a load of bass related reverb. The spin, I think we can probably just drop that a tiny bit, and again the depth, well, maybe even more. And the mix, I actually used a macro to control this because it's something that I want access to from the front panel, so I'm just gonna drag this up to here, and I think I had it set to about 50%. So now we can affect the reverb from anywhere in the patch. While we're at it, I had another macro to control what I called intensity. So I'm going to nip into the matrix here, and we're going to go macro 2 source, and we're going to use this to increase the decay on envelope 2 by about 10 or so. Let's have a go with that. Just gives the whole sound just a little bit more sustain. We're going to use macro 2 again, and we're going to let it add to the filter cutoff. Not loads, but you know, just like 5 or 6 is probably good, just to get a little bit of a extra presence there when we increase that macro. We'll use it again. We're going to add a serious amount of filter resonance as well. Maybe as much as 50. Let's try that. Yeah, now we're getting there. I think I'm also going to use some velocity here, just to increase the filter a little bit, so that when we're programming it, the filter cutoff that is, when we're programming this and we're programming the notes, we can Okay, there you have it. That's Carpenter Bass. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more tips, tricks, resources, downloads and tutorials here at Moonshift Audio. Till next time.